Today we're going to talk about segments and campaigns. Segments and campaigns both go hand in hand, but we'll start by first diving into what a segment really is. I've clicked on the Segments tab on the left-hand side. A segment is essentially a group of students or a folder of students with some basic requirements that recruiters may be looking for. It's a way to take the entire student database on Handshake, parse that student database into digestible groups of students, and then proactively engage with those students in a personalized manner. When you're ready to build a segment, you're going to want to come into Segments and click the Create Segment button on the top right-hand side. You want to use segments when you're trying to do some sort of outreach with students. You're trying to draw more students to apply to a job, attend a career fair, attend an event you may be hosting, or maybe just share some general branding information with students. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that the content you send to students is very much in line with their backgrounds. So by creating segments of students, you're able to build those groups of students and then ensure that their backgrounds are aligned with the content that you're sharing. When you're ready to share a segment of students, you'll come in and there's a variety of different filters you can use. There's filters from academic data to interests to skill set, all the way down to DEI filters. We'll walk through a few of these in details and build a sample segment here. The first thing you'll start with is the academic data. You can either enter in a specific school name, you can add a school list that you may have previously created in the past, or you can leave it school agnostic. You're taking an approach when the school that the student attends doesn't really matter. I'll show you an example. You can just type in the school name, but I'm going to leave it as a school agnostic approach. You can add in a profile keyword. This just allows you to put in one profile keyword and search the entire student profile for that keyword. Then build your segment of students by major. So starting at the bottom, you can either do a very broad major. STEM is going to pull in the technical version, so remove the science majors and focus on technology, engineering, and math. Or liberal arts is going to pull in all non-STEM majors. You could also use major keyword, which is just going to allow you to type in a specific major keyword. Keep in mind, if you're taking a multi-school or a school agnostic approach, there may be schools that call majors something differently, so you'll have to put in different iterations. We always recommend using major group. Major group actually has all the mapping done on the back end of like majors. So if I want to come in and I want to look for students studying computer programming and data science, I can go ahead and just type in those major groups. I'm also going to put in computer science and computer engineering. You see how this allows me to add in more than one major group. From here, I can determine the graduation date range. You can either identify students who may be graduating, so in the class of 2021, maybe they've graduated in the past, so you're going to use one of our alumni pools, or maybe they're in an early ID or they're an underclassman. You can either use the class of date range, or you can choose a custom graduation date range and put in an exact date. I'm going to say all of these 4 class years, and then you can determine the degree type. If you leave it blank, it's going to pull in all degree types, but make sure you indicate a specific degree type if your outreach is only for master's students or undergraduate students or associates. Can then filter by work authorization. This is based on the student's work authorization. You can add in a GPA filter, and that kind of ends the core academic data that you're going to look for. There's a lot more that we really recommend you use, and this goes into looking at students' interests and their extracurricular activities to really bring about more than just their majors. You can type in specific organization names, and we'll talk a little bit about underrepresented groups at the end. You can look for students based on their interests. So students may be interested in being software developers, so you can type in a role or a job role title and look at how many students want to work in that type of job role, as well as students who may want to work in a specific industry. Students are not required to fill out these fields. So if you are going to use it, keep in mind that your segment number might drop, but it's a great way to start out with a really niche group of students who have the backgrounds you're looking for and want to hold the roles or the industries that you belong in, and then expand outward. We have some achievements and accolades, some of the high performing skill sets. Maybe I want someone who's been a TA or has had previous work experience or has been a leader on campus. Rather than having to type in the different iterations of the organizations, we've given you the filters here. We then go into location. So just like job role and industry, students can also indicate locations they want to live in. These are just cities and states, but geographical areas that they are interested in working in. This is really helpful for employers that are trying to find students for maybe hard to fill areas or remote offices, rather than having to engage with the students and really sell them on the location. Why not start with students who want to work in a designated location? So I could type in a city name, and from there, it's going to pull any student who wants to live in a 50-mile radius of that city. You can either narrow that down or expand it over. And you can also type in more than one city name. Just keep in mind, if you put in 2 city names, it's going to look at students who want to live in either or, not both. The current location is going to pull from where the student is currently located. If they're a current enrolled student, it'll pull based on where their university is located. If they're an alum, it's going to pull based on where their most current active job is located. You can then start to look for skills and coursework and work experience. A great way to really look for those soft skills, those technical skills. It's just a keyword search, so you can type in programming languages, other programs, or just soft skills. Courses, you can search by subject or specific course. And then the work experience, well, in the past, we had put in our previous work experience filter, you can be even more specific and say, I want someone with this specific job title or at this specific company. Finally, we wrap it all together with our underrepresented groups. Underrepresented groups on Handshake are a way to help employers identify candidates who may self-identify as belonging to one of the underrepresented groups. You'll see there's a variety of different distinctions. By using this top bucket, you can identify any student who may attend a minority serving institution, is part of that underrepresented group, or has interests in employers who belong or express themselves with those types of underrepresented groups. You can either look for pure organization data, or if you're trying to do some very specific institution outreach, rather than typing in all the school names at the top, we have an institution filter at the bottom that'll allow you to search by any of the different designations of minority serving institutions. You can use as many and as few filters as you want in a segment. You really just want to make sure that your segment is as specific as possible. You'll see at the end of my segment, I now have 103 students that match the requirements that I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and save my segment with a unique name. That way, in the future, you can remember what that segment entails. These segments are live and dynamic. They'll update every single day so that you'll never have a stale group of students. You'll always have the most accurate group of students based on the qualifications you've added. Once you're done, you just go ahead and you save your segment. It'll take you back to your segment page. And from here, you can start building out your campaign.